Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sojourning Writer. Today we're going to be discussing Maslow's hierarchies of need. But before we get to the book, I believe we need to set the scene. What is a need? According to Webster's dictionary, there are two forms of the word need. The first one is the noun form, a necessary duty, i.e., obligation, as in, there's no need to apologize, or the need to pay taxes, Peter Scott. Second definition is a lack of something requisite, desirable, or useful. A building adequate for the company's needs. A physiological requirement of the well-being of an organism. Health and education needs. 3. A condition requiring supply or relief. The house is in need of repair. Refugees in need of shelter and food. 4. Lack of the means of sustenance, i.e., poverty. The community program provides for those in need. The second form is the verb, needed, needing, needs, or need. Intransitive verb. 1. To be needful or necessary. Or 2. To be in want. Typically, when we say we need something, we are talking about the word in its verb form. I need a new car, or I need to eat. In both of these cases, there's an implied portion to the thought. I need a new car for reasons. I need to eat to satiate my hunger. Very rarely do we talk about needing something for survival, yet it is not uncommon for people to react negatively when their needs are not being met. How many times have we heard a story about a family broken up and the primary reason was an unmet need? Just like this example, we can create characters that reflect this aspect of reality. In addition, we must always be sure to realize that, just like everybody has needs, so do every one of your characters, not just the main players. Now let's get into the text. Chapter 1, Understanding the Pyramid. The pyramid's broken up into 5 sections. Psychological needs, safety needs, belongingness and love needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization. Chapter 2, The Physical World. Health and Strength. Health. Health actualization 1. Knowledge. There's so much bad information in regards to what is actually healthy. This is seen by how many times the government has changed its guidance on nutritional requirements. How does your character have an understanding of what they eat affects their body/mood? Health actualization 2. Nutrition. Keeping a well-rounded diet is generally the best policy. However, you should keep in mind that sugar is all but a poison and should be eaten sparingly. What does your character eat in times of stress? And how does it affect their actions? Does your character eat enough while on their trek through the mountains? Health actualization 3. Prevention. Maintaining a healthy body weight and a moderate level of fitness will keep you from suffering from the majority of sicknesses such as cancer, diabetes, strokes, and heart attacks. How does your character think about the future? Are they always reacting to health issues? Strength actualization 1. Cardiovascular health. Your heart and blood vessels provide the blood your body needs for long-term health. You should exercise them regularly. Does your character make time to work out? Do they allow a life of ease to hinder their goals? Health actualization 2. Power. Strength training is the key to maintaining mobility as you age. This is particularly true for the elderly. How does your character overcome the obstacles in front of them? Do they build themselves up to defeat the enemy, or do they just wing it? Chapter 3. The safest or the strongest. Physical security. If most of your mental energy is tied up with fears of being attacked, you will be unable to think clearly. How much does the fear of the unknown drive your character? Security actualization 1. Combat competency. History taught us that even the best law enforcement systems have flaws and fail. Ultimately, the cost of such failures fall on those in which the system is charged to protect. As a CDC study of defensive use of firearms statistic from 2013 indicates that even having a gun can keep you safe. 500,000 to more than 3 million defensive uses of firearms in 2013. Are your characters ready for the unknown, or disaster catch them off guard? Security actualization 2. Insurance. Insurance helps reduce the cost of catastrophes, though not every system is perfect and not everybody has access to it. What resources does your character have stored away in events of catastrophes? Financial security. Financial self. Actualization 1. Independence. Being reliant on others keeps you from stepping out on your own. If somebody else is paying the bills, that person can decide what they're paying for. Is your character willing to step out from the control of another to achieve their goals? Financial self-actualization 2. Education. Knowing how to spend your money and how to save it can give you the freedom in the long term. Is your character wise with their resources? Financial self-actualization 3. Emergency fund. Insurance doesn't cover everything. Having a rainy day fund can get you out of a tight spot. Is your character tight on funds, and how will they react in an emergency? Emotional security. Emotional self-actualization 1. Toxicity. The 5 people who are around you are the ones that you become, so choose your friends carefully. Do they encourage you to do better, or do they belittle you to keep you in your place? Who does your character have around them? Are they willing to cut toxic people from their lives? Emotional self-actualization 2. Emotional regulation. Emotions are tricky, and while they make life worth living, they are easily manipulated to make us feel a certain way. In the TV series Star Trek Voyager, the first officer, Chakotay, witnesses a massacre by the Kremlin, getting him to join the Vori forces. Come to find out later that the massacre was faked and that the Vori are the ones committing the massacres. But by this point, the first officer has had his emotions manipulated. So when he sees the Cardan ambassador, he becomes angry and almost attacks him. Does your character control their emotions, or do they get upset at everything? Emotional self-actualization 3. Strong relationships. Humans are relational creatures that need others to help them to get better. Does your character have close friends that want the best for them? Chapter 4. Love and connection. The purpose of intimacy is to create a sense of belonging and connections with others. Does your character feel connected with other characters? Physical. The chemical oxytocin is released when touching other people, such as hugs, holding hands, and kisses. This helps reduce stress and pain. Does your character have someone they can touch, or are they cut off from others? Emotional. Expressing our emotions can help us better understand them. Having someone you can do this with without fear of it being used against you is healthy. Does your character have somebody that they can share their feelings with? Is it a spouse, friend, or a relative? What does it look like when someone that they should be able to, or have, shared their feelings only to have those emotions used against them later? Intellectual. Sometimes the best way to flesh out information and ideas is to share it with somebody else so you can get their perspective on them. Does your character have someone they can debate ideas and topics with, or do they keep to themselves, unable to develop their thoughts and ideas? Experiential. Sharing experiences can deepen the bonds of others and help someone feel connected. Is your character alone, or are they doing something with somebody else? Friendship. Hobby friendships. Having friends with the same hobby can help you not only improve your skill in the hobby, but can also create bonds with those people who share that hobby. Work friendships. A lot of workplaces have toxic people that only are out for themselves, whether it is to climb a ladder or to slack off. Finding work friends can keep work from becoming unbearable. Physical friendship. With an increase of social media becoming the primary means of interaction, it is important to build and maintain physical relationships. Does your character have friends that they meet with on a regular basis? Best friends. There are a number of levels of friendships that can impact how we live our lives. And while best friends are hard to come by, particularly for men, it is important to develop those close friendships. Does your character have 1 or 2 close friends, or just a number of loose acquaintances? Community. Purpose. Do you have a part to play in your broader community? Does your character have a community that they are connected to, or are they separated from it? Healing. Community helps create a space where you can heal both physically and mentally. The first indication of human civilization is when we found healed leg bones. This is evidence that indicates that a person was reliant on the community to provide for them while they healed. Does your character feel safe in their community in times of hurt or distress? Encouragement is essential to develop virtues and skills that help the community as a whole. Does your character get treated with respect and encouragement, or do they get kicked around? Chapter 5. Esteem killers. Barrier 1. Dependence. When we are reliant on others for help, we are open to attack by others, who see weakness as an opportunity. If you aren't weak, you are less likely to be attacked. Does your character live day to day at the mercy of others? Barrier 2. Seeking external validators. When we seek the approvals of others, we open ourselves to being manipulated. Does your character have enough mental strength to do what they want, or do they seek the approval of others? Barrier 3. Abuse. Abuse is just not violence, but the continuance of violence to the point that the act itself is no longer need for there to be a negative effect. With trauma, healing is required, or there can be no growth. What is the history of your character? Were they abused growing up, and how does this abuse affect their current situation? Chapter 6. True self-esteem. Competence. Self-reliance requires the ability to do tasks that are needing to be done without anybody else's help. Does your character always need the help of others to do their job, whether it's needing somebody else's knowledge or somebody else to make sure that the task is completed? Most skills are built up over time, requiring effort over that period of time. Does your character have the experience to handle the situation that they're in? Competency 2. Self-education. Learning how to complete the task beforehand reduces the amount of time needed. Has your character been educated how to do the tasks that need to be done? Self-reliance. When we are able to live without the aid of others, we are more able to step out to better our own lives. Can your character live alone, or do they need others around them? Self-reliance. Philosophy 1. Reject entitlement. When we are entitled, it prevents us from overcoming. If we are owed something, there is no reason that we should not be given it. Therefore, no reason to overcome the obstacles. Does your character struggle with entitlement, or are they willing to overcome the issue themselves? Self-reliant. Philosophy 2. Embrace hardship. Going through hard times makes it easier to deal with day-to-day issues, and more likely to deal with bigger issues when they arise. Has your character gone through hard times, or have they lived a life of ease? Confidence. Having mental strength can allow us to achieve those goals we wish to. Does your character have the confidence, or are they always uncertain? Confidence habit 1. Positive self-talk. The battle to complete our goals always starts in the mind, and believing that you can is always the first step. Does your character give up in their mind, or do they encourage themselves to start the journey to achieve their goals? Confidence habit 2. Be prepared. Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the phone, said, "Before anything else, preparation is the key to success." Without preparation, we spend too much time figuring out how to do what we are trying to do. But if we spend a fraction of the time preparing, we can sidestep a lot of potential issues. Does your character go off half-cocked, or are they meticulous in their planning? Confidence habit 3. Stance. How we stand has a lot to do with our outlook on life. So we should be sure to stand up and stick out our chests. How does your character respond to the world? With chest out, standing tall? Or do they cower and shrink away? Chapter 7. Are you actualized? Here are a few thoughts we should ask ourselves, but also of our characters. Physical needs. I'm acutely aware of my health needs and take care of them on a regular basis. I know what my nutritional intake is on a daily basis. I am physically fit enough to run a mile. I do not worry about lifting heavy things. Safety. I do not have to worry about my safety. I can handle myself in a fight. I have a steady grasp on my finances. I have a budget. My relationships treat me well. Love and belonging. I feel loved. I have a close, intimate friendship. I have a best friend. I'm in a community that takes care of me. I feel connected to my relationships. I like my community. Self-esteem. I feel good about myself. I'm not worried about how other people see me. I don't need other people's respect. I'm able to be alone and still be happy. I'm confident. I'm able to get things done without others helping me. I know I can survive a serious crisis. There are a lot of things in our lives that we should be paying attention to so we can achieve the goals we want for ourselves. We should always keep in mind that if we are to create relatable characters, we must always allow their needs to be expressed. That does not mean that everyone who shows up on the page should have a complete backstory, but for the amount of time they are on the page, an equal amount of thought should be given to their needs and wants. This way, people we write can feel alive and have agencies in their lives, rather than being cardboard cutouts on the page. Okay, everybody, that is the end of this video. We will be back next week with a practical. The plan is to do character sheets and actually create characters with backstories so that we can actually show how to do this from the beginning rather than throughout our story. We'll probably also be touching on how to express these things in the stories themselves. As always, I put links in the description for the resources that I've used. If you have had any thoughts or suggestions on what I could be doing next, please let me know. Until next time, have a nice day. Bye.
I am a poor, wayfaring stranger. I'm traveling through this world of woe. Yet there's no sickness, toil, nor danger in that bright land to which I go.